Hey guys, welcome back to another lesson. Today is Thursday and it is your last Wonders lesson of fourth grade. So as excited as I am for you, I'm also a little bit sad because this is the last distance learning recorded video that you're going to get from me. So it's a little bittersweet. I'm really happy for you guys. We've made it this far. We've made it since March 13th all the way to May, and it's an exciting time for you, but it's also a little bit of a sad time for some of your teachers because we're coming down on the end of it, and unfortunately we didn't get to give you these lessons in person. So I hope you've enjoyed the last 8 weeks or so of distance learning, and let's get into your last lesson of fourth grade, using wonders. We're going to be talking again about main idea and key details. Now, you may have remembered from some of our previous lessons through distance learning, and even when we were in school, we've talked about main idea and key details, okay? So your goal for today is going to be to determine the main idea of a text using key details, and those key details are going to support the main idea. Now, you may be asking yourself, well, what is main idea and key details? Well, they are the main idea, and I've listed it as MI for main idea. And the main idea is the most important idea or point in a text. Now, sometimes we can find main idea within a paragraph or a section of a story, okay? So it doesn't necessarily have to be the main idea for the entire story. It could focus on a specific text that you're looking for the main idea, okay? Now, KD, key details, those give important information to support the main idea. So any of your key details, they have to relate back to the main idea. Otherwise, they don't support it and we can't list it as a key detail for the main idea. Here's your weekly hint. You're going to find details that have things in common or how they're connected. Typically in a section or in a paragraph, you'll see a group of details that all have something in common. They're somehow related to each other, which then you'll be able to come up with the main idea. Okay? So you and I are going to practice putting some details into our graphic organizer, and then we will try to determine the main idea together. So as always, we are going to need to reread the text to look for the main idea and the key details. Now, we're only for today going to be rereading an actual section in our book. We're not going to reread the whole story. We're going to reread just a section, which is a paragraph, and try to find the details, things that they have in common, and then we'll list the main idea. Let's head to the text now. So for this example, we will be reading page 412 again, and we are going to identify the key details. Next, we're going to think about what those details have in common, and then we should be able to figure out the main idea. Follow along with me as I read page 412 again to you. We may be asked to debate the future of gasoline as an energy source. If so, I would say that gasoline is made from oil, a fossil fuel. According to geologists, fossil fuels formed over hundreds of millions of years from ancient plant and animal remains. But here's the problem. We use these fuels far faster than it takes them to form. Because fossil fuels are non-renewable resources, if we keep using them, eventually there will be none left. Plus, burning these fuels pollutes the air. It is easy to be hypercritical of fossil fuels. However, most of our cars and factories use this type of fuel, and therefore changing everything would be a huge undertaking. So let's think back up into the first paragraph. What are some details in there that have things in common? Hit the pause button right now so you could reread that first paragraph to yourself and see if you can find some details that all have things in common. Now, hopefully as you reread, you decided that that paragraph has lots of details about fossil fuels. So if we take everything in that paragraph about fossil fuels, we should know that that is the common thread. That is what all the details have in common. They all have to do with fossil fuels. We read that fossil fuels are formed, they take millions of years to form. We read that right here. According to geologists, fossil fuels formed over hundreds of millions of years from ancient plant and animal remains. We also read that fossil fuels, they are far faster than it takes to form them. We use them, faster than we form them. So there's two details that have to do with fossil fuels. And we've also learned one other thing. We also learned right here that fossil fuels are non-renewable resources. So if we keep using them, we're not going to have any left. Okay? So in that paragraph, the common thread, what's being talked about over and over, has to do with fossil fuels. Let's head back to our graphic organizer and put in those three details that all have to do with fossil fuels. So the first detail that we read from page 412 that had to do with fossil fuels was that fossil fuels take, and how long do they take to form? That's right, they take hundreds of millions of years to form. Let's undo that underline. We've also learned from page 412 that we use those fossil fuels. Do we use them slowly or do we use them quickly? That's right, we use fossil fuels very quickly. We use them faster than it takes them to form. And what is that last detail that we learned about on page 412 that had to do with fossil fuels? You're right, fossil fuels are non-renewable resources. So if they are non-renewable resources, what does that mean? You're right, we cannot make them again. Once they're gone, they are gone. So we have all of our details in there. We have three details that have to do with fossil fuels. What could the main idea now be? We know that they take hundreds of years to form. We know we use them faster than we make them. And we know once they're gone, we can't ever make them again. What could the main idea be? This is where you're going to have to think about these details and come up with what the main idea would be. So sometimes it takes a little longer for you to understand what the main idea is. But for me, as I read, and hopefully you may have reread to try to find the main idea, you would have understood that if we're using the fossil fuels faster than they form, if it takes so long to make them, and we know once they're gone, they're never coming back, that should hopefully give you a hint that if we keep using them, let's take out that underline again. If we keep using fossil fuels, eventually what's going to happen? You're right, eventually there will be none left. Now, that would be the main idea that's going to be supported by all of these key details. Even though the text doesn't tell us the main idea, they do give us these details, and based on these details, we know that once those fossil fuels are gone, we're not going to have any left, okay? Because they do take hundreds of years to form. We use them faster than they form, and they're non-renewable. That means once they're gone, they're gone. Okay, so now it's going to be your turn to practice main idea and key details. And for that, you're going to head over to Wonders and you're going to be working on pages 273 to 275. You'll be reading a passage and then you will be looking for key details in a paragraph, and you're going to talk about how those details are connected. So you're going to want to think of what do they have in common. Then you will determine the main idea. As always, you're only doing part A. You may skip part B. Head over to Wonders now and complete your last 4th grade assignment using Wonders.